Welcome, everybody. It's 5 o'clock, October 20th, 2025. Let's call the meeting to order. Before we get to item 2, I'd like to ask the board if there's any addition to the agenda this evening.
I have one small one that I do believe our new process says we need to vote on. I want to get approval to put a factual insert into the paper. So I'd like to make a motion that we add that to the new business.
I second that motion.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion regarding this addition? Hearing none, may we vote, please?
It's been moved and seconded to add an item to the new business agenda item, inserting a fact sheet in the Yellow Springs News. Ms. Moyer?
Yes.
Mr. Hollister?
Yes.
Mr. Richard?
Yes.
Motion's approved.
Okay. All right, we'll move to item number 2. This is the adoption of the minutes of October 6th, 2025. Is there a motion?
And so move.
I second that.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion regarding those minutes?
I will note 2 corrections. October 5th should have been October 1st for the special meeting minutes, and the dollar amount on the Harbison Road grant project was correct.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, if there's nothing else, may we vote, please?
It's been moved and seconded to adopt the minutes of October 6th, 2025 as corrected. Ms. Moyer?
Yes.
Mr. Hollister?
Yes.
Mr. Richard?
Yes. Now we entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the special meeting of October 1, 2025. Is there a motion?
I so move.
A second.
And a motion and a second. Any discussion regarding that meeting? Minutes? Hearing none, may we vote, please?
It's been moved and seconded to adopt the minutes of the special meeting held October 1st, 2025. Mr. Hollister?
Yes.
Ms. Moyer?
Yes.
Mr. Richard?
Yes.
Minutes adopted.
Now entertain a motion to approve payment of bills of $48,492 even. Broken down general fund, $4,526.79. Cemetery fund, $3,122.04. Fire fund, $34,538.52. Road and Bridge, $6,304.65. Motion?
I so move.
I second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion regarding the payment of these accounts? Hearing none, may we vote, please?
It's been moved and seconded to approve payment of bills in the amount of $48,492 even as enumerated. Ms. Moyer?
Yes.
Mr. Hollister?
Yes.
Mr. Richard?
Yes.
Motion's approved.
Are there any correspondences in or out for this period?
Well, there's one from Becca at the auditor's office that I was going to address in this fiscal officer report.
Okay.
Other than
Well, we did get 2 things regarding cybersecurity, which I was going to bring up at some point, or I was going to ask you to bring up at some point. So I don't know if that counts it or not.
that, sure.
Okay, we'll count it.
Would that be an old business?
It's under our new business. I assume that was the cybersecurity new business item you mentioned.
Yeah.
On our agenda,
Technically,
it
we
says-
talked about it at our last meeting.
it is listed in our under old
But
business.
It's a new proposal. It's a new proposal from a vendor, Rebecca, that came in this week.
Any public addition to the agenda from the public? Fire department report. Chief, you're up.
Yes, like to change the status of volunteer Jeremy Ray from volunteer to part-time firefighter EMT.
Cool.
That is at the rate of $18.54 an hour. And
I'd entertain a motion to make that change.
I so move.
And a second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion regarding that motion? Hearing none, may we vote, please?
Been moved and seconded to move volunteer firefighter Jeremy Ray from volunteer to part-time firefighter EMT. The current pay rate of $18.54 per hour. Mr. Hollister?
Yes.
Ms. Moyer,
Yes.
Mr. Mutcher,
Yes.
motion approved.
Okay, as you'll see there, our run activity staying pretty steady, but our staffing report really looks good. I mean, we've been able to keep 3 people staffing here for every day this month except for 1. And we've had paramedic coverage for, every day except for 1. So that's a goal meeting expectation that makes me feel really good. So
Congratulations on
things
that.
are going well there. I've had two application requests today, and another application request last week, so we're gonna, get all the part-time folks together and start working on a, staffing initiative for the, 2026. So things are looking good and people are coming back to work for us, so thank you for your support. I have down there, I've been talking to a grant source professionals. And I came across these folks because a good friend of mine who's a fire chief up north, has had a lot of success with this group. And, you know, this is what they do. They write grants for, safety services, mainly fire departments. They have a fire department background, so they know what grants are coming available and when. Mostly the FEMA grants. I mean, she even called me the other day and said there's a Marks Radio grant coming available. But I don't think it's the right time for us because it's a 50% matching grant. So, I'd like to enter into, just give me the okay to enter into, potential future contracts with this grant company. Their rates are very, very reasonable. And I was told that, they've only been in the business a few years and their competitors charge a lot less. You can see there, if we would put in for a $50,000-$60,000 grant, it would basically cost us about $975. Then if we are awarded the grant, then they have an award fee, probably like any folks that write grants, but say 8% or $4,500. So I think it's just something that I think, in my opinion, looking at our turnout gear and our SCBA's and some of the equipment purchases down the road, we have a chance of possibly getting in on some of these grants. But we just have to make it happen. And so what do they come in and they collect all the data about the community that you serve, about the town, about your target hazards, and they keep that in a database. And so whenever the grants come up, we sign a contract for each individual grant before we move forward, so we know exactly what it's gonna cost us. So, coming up probably by the end of the year, I don't really know when the next grants are coming available. We could have a staffing grant coming up, there's an equipment grant coming up, so it's all depends on the federal government and when they release those grant notices, so. I'd recommend, I don't know, we're not spending really any money, or I just need an okay, I'm not really sure.
Enter into kind of a.
Yeah, enter into
an agreement.
an agreement with Grant Source to, write future grants for the fire department.
Is there a motion?
I so move.
I'll second that.
Motion and second. Any further discussion, Fred?
I would, when we actually do go ahead, when an opportunity shows up, I would assume that you'll notify the trustees.
Most definitely.
And I think we would approve them as they come up.
Yeah.
The question I didn't understand, if it's okay to
Trustees,
speak, was, if you,
Point of order, trustees, the floor until we've done discussing.
I'm sorry.
So it came up before the meeting that, the people you've chosen, I assume there aren't a lot of people out, there's general grant writers, but you not only have one that's specific to this very niche market,
Mm-hmm.
but also have personal, personal contacts that tell you that they've been successful.
Yes, yes.
I'm sorry, now that's Kellyanne's question, so actually I took Kellyanne's before yours, Fred, and I apologize. Does that satisfy what you were thinking?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, and I'll give you an example. The fire department that I work for part-time at home, we put in for a grant for a tanker truck 3 times and have gotten shot down. And, you know, now that we've gotten shot down 3 times, at that point, we're probably, we need to figure out why we're not getting it, why someone else is getting it and we're not. But at that point, I personally would have stopped at 2. But these folks tell us that, what year are your trucks? Anything before a 2000, and we have a 1999 tanker truck, we have the potential in the future of getting a grant for a whole fire truck. And if we could get that, I mean, that for a tanker truck, it's probably a $500,000 grant that you can get because of the rural area that we protect and the fact that our truck is a 1999, which is right at that cutoff point. So you saw there in some of the brochures that they sent me, I mean, there is criteria for putting in for these grants. Your turnout gear's gotta be 10 years old. Your SCBA's have to be out of compliant, and ours are almost out of compliant. The only issue I run into here, if at the end of the year we put in for a grant for turnout gear, we really can't have any brand new sets sitting out there. Otherwise, it's gonna hurt our chances for a grant. So I got a strategy for that and a plan for that if it comes to that. So anyway, just some food for thought there.
That was good work. Did Fred have it?
Fred?
Well, I just wanted to clarify for myself, when you say enter into a relationship with them, you're not saying we're already intending, or you're not saying we're giving them a fee once a month until such time as we ask for a grant. You're not saying that. You're just saying-
No.
You're saying it's okay with the trustees
Yeah,
for you
I
to
guess-
talk to them.
An agreement, I mean, there is no official signed agreement. It's a contract per grant.
Yeah, okay.
But they have a lot of legwork that they have to do, a lot of background stuff. They have to interview our people to know all these questions that they need to know. So they're not gonna really start that unless they know that there's a good chance we're gonna enter into a contract with them come December, January, whenever the FEMA grants open up.
My understanding then is they may do a bunch of work with interviews and so forth, and what's the fire department about, without receiving any guaranteed contract at that moment, but you've agreed to talk with them, and so they're willing to do work that actually
Yeah.
isn't paid for right at the moment.
Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
and I'm not 100%. They may wait and do that work when we sign their first contract.
Yeah,
But from what I've gathered from talking to one of the owners of the company, they want to get ahead of it, and if they're pretty confident we're going to enter into a contract with them, based on the information that I've given them, that we're in desperate need of turnout gear, we're desperate need of air packs. Those are 2 big items that they're telling me you got a good chance of getting a grant for that. So
and they're the company, they out of Canfield, Ohio?
they're out of Youngstown area.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, which can't be.
Anything else, Chief?
There is a motion on the table.
Oh, okay, that's right. We got to that. Any further discussion regarding this motion? Hearing none, may we vote, please?
Been moved and seconded to enter into an agreement with Grant Source Professionals to potentially write future grants for the Marion Township Fire and Rescue Department. Is that sufficient, Chief?
Yes.
Ms. Moyer?
Yes.
Mr. Hollister?
Yes.
Mr. Mutcher?
Yes.
Motion's approved.
Last thing I got, street fair was on our part was a success. I went down to the meeting, the post-meeting afterwards, and compliments all over the place, especially for the safety forces. We didn't take anybody to the hospital. We handed out a couple Band-Aids. The magician cut his finger when he was cutting through the guy, so I don't know how it happened. But he came over and that was the worst thing that we dealt with all day long. And then we had a pretty severe auto accident that night after the street fair with, went and assisted Houston on a pretty bad wreck out that way. So other than that, that's what's been happening with the fire department. Thank you.
Well, your headline on Facebook with the 3 wrecked cars in the parking lot back here.
Yeah. The only way you stay good at it is just keep practicing.
What's the plan for that?
Plan? Yeah, we're gonna, we'll have them out of here in a week.
Okay.
I think starting this week or the weekend, is we're gonna get through all 3 shifts through a training, on those cars. And I don't know if we have any signs around here, is this training in progress, but if not, might be something we might wanna look into. Let me think about that. That way people's not calling you all the time and on Facebook and it's like, what's going on back? So,
Not sure that'll
Sorry
start
about
that
that.
springers, but.
I only I got a tarp big enough to cover 3 cars, but.
Where'd you get them?
Shoot. Local, company out of Springfield. Ron's? I don't know, somebody, I'm not sure, 100% sure.
Waltz?
Huh?
Waltz.
No, I don't think it was Waltz. It was somebody real quick, Ron's, John's, or something like that, I'm not sure. They called this morning, said we're dropping 3 off.
And where are you gonna take them in, or who's gonna get them?
They'll come back and get them.
They will?
Yeah. Yeah, they don't like to do that anymore. They wanted us to come out to them, but, it's traveling too far out of our district. So, they were nice enough to come, because we cut them all up, we cut the doors off, the roofs off, stuff's hanging off. And I've had record companies, get upset with us because on their way back to the junkyard, stuff falls off, goes through the windshield of somebody's car, and now they're liable, so. Just today's day and age, the way things are, so.
But you don't intend to burn them, right?
No.
Just wanna make sure. You happen about, we just burned some a couple of months ago, after they sat for 4 years.
Yeah.
Anything else for the fire department?
That's all, sir.
From the board, fire department? Okay, thank you very much. We have no cemetery or road report today. It is continuing to mow. It seems like the time of year you have to mow that much. Apparently, we have no fiscal officer report also.
I have a few things for fiscal officer.
All right.
I was hoping she'd be here, and I think that if my trustees agree, I'd like to write a communication to her asking her to be here from now to the end of the year, since we're closing up books. We need reports for budgets. There's some questions coming up with the auditor. And it's not easy to get those things. Real quickly, like, for example, what came in is we need a spreadsheet giving them the numbers for the building fund, which they're going to use. It has to be accurate in order to set our millage rate for next year. I see that we don't have all the revenues in, the rollbacks aren't in each of the funds. There's been no revenues posted for fees in the general fund, and I'm sure you've charged some fees, and you've handed them in, and they've been cashed, but our general fund is showing no revenues. I was looking at cemetery revenues, and, we estimate sometimes around $53,000 a year, and we've posted $86,700 this year, so.
That's accurate.
Okay, cool. Fire and rescue, though the 2281 fund, though we estimate and usually get around 185,000, there's only 89,000 worth of revenues posted. So if she were here, I'd ask her to really check on, and also the interest we have from all of our reserve funds have not been posted in a while. And then there was a communication, I wish either Dan or Gina was here, for the collective payment agreement. One, to send them a signal that everything's been done well and to our satisfaction, which maybe Chris could do, but maybe Dan could do, I don't know.
I told Kelly Miller, who sent that I would be I'd get that form as soon as possible. I requested our fiscal officer to provide me with copies of paid invoices for that work about 3 weeks ago.
So,
And I didn't receive it, and I sent her another reminder today to please send that to me.
so, because it looked a little low, I've already seen this, 'cause that's another thing, we didn't get any new, financial data today. This is, I'm still working off of September 30. And as of September 30, it doesn't look as if we've spent enough money in the road and bridge contracting fund that both were paid.
I'm
So it looks
almost
like.
positive they have been,
Okay,
because
okay.
they will give you about 24 hours after it's due, and then
Okay, so
call and
maybe
knock on the door.
paid but not posted.
I think.
Or maybe it was just a small amount. Did we only have like $20,000 worth of roads?
Well, we had one blacktop and we had 2 chip seal.
Less than usual,
We have
seems
spent,
to me.
would that be 2031? No, in gasoline, that'd be gasoline fund.
Usually comes out of gas tax.
Gas tax. Thank you for, putting up with me here. Contracted services, we've spent 30,000. That might be it. That might be the total. They might be all paid, if you think that sounds about right.
Sounds low, but.
Yeah, we'll have to check on that, so, and then in a communication with the, Becca at the auditor's office, Becca, the superstar down at the auditor's office, our capital funds are screwed up. There's no money missing. We have some forensic work to do. All capital funds start with a 49. 4902 is supposed to have, we have on our records that it has 52,000. They have that there's 336,000.
Wait, who's they?
The auditor. Yeah, she was kind of shocked that we have different, because he sends these. I think that it dates back to Margaret's tenure, but Gina approved these without having checked. 4901, we have that there's 0 in that account, and they have that we have 52,000 in there. 4904, we have 336,000, and they have that 4904 doesn't exist. So, all the money's there, they're just in the wrong numbered things, and Becca needs us to get that straight. And also, we have to figure out what was done legally and what was done casually. I've been looking for some things, I won't get into it today, I'll wait till I figure out more, but those things, and then we're coming to the end of the year where we're going to have to start projecting for next year, and I want to make sure, I want the fiscal officer to let us know, are we pretty up to date with the entry of our expenditures so that we can make good decisions? And then also not have a surprise finish. So that's all. So I think it would be great if you guys don't mind that I send a letter on our email on our behalf to request her presence for the remainder of the year.
I would be comfortable with that.
Make the motion. Just because it's going to come from the board.
Yeah. A second.
I move that we formally request the fiscal officer to attend every meeting until the end of the year.
there a second?
Second.
Moved in second, any further discussion regarding that motion? Hearing none, vote please.
It's been moved and seconded to request the fiscal officer be present at each township meeting, township trustees meeting through the end of the year. For the reasons stated, Mr. Hollister,
Yes.
Ms. Moyer,
Yes.
Mr. Mutcher,
Yes.
motion's approved.
Any idea why we haven't been able to get a current balance on either of these accounts? Seems like this is the second, at least the second time that we've, so, and
Gina was in earlier, and I believe she said that I haven't checked the email, but that she emailed those balances
that was that right?
late afternoon.
I did not get them.
I didn't do it.
Um,
Okay,
Last meeting, we had the US Bank balance, but not the Star Ohio.
oh, yeah. Okay, well, if she says she's got it out there, that must be floating around
I
somewhere.
may have misunderstood, but that's my understanding.
And, I'll let her know, it'd be great to get these, I think it'd be great to get these earlier than when we sit down. Maybe get them on Friday. Cool. Let me add that. Okay.
Anything else with this conference report? Hearing nothing, we'll move to item number 10, this will be the zoning administrator report.
Okay,
Oh, there he is.
Right.
sorry. Thank you for allowing me to come to this meeting. So there's a couple things I want to address. One is about zoning violations and other violations. And then also want to give you an update on where we are with current text amendments. Okay, so we're gonna stick with the violations first. So in front of you, you should have a sheet that says at the top, zoning and related violation operating procedures. And then I highlighted a couple of things that we'll get to here in a second. So below that, you have groups of 3 sets of letters, which I'll get into individually. But I want to start at the top and just talk about the goal of violation mediation. So the goal is to make residents aware if they're in violation, because a lot of times people will do something, they don't even know that their setback should have been this, or I'm not allowed to do that particular use in that district. So the first thing is to make them aware and try to get the corrective action happen before steps need to be taken by you as the Board of Trustees. Okay, so that's the goal. So I want to talk about just a standard zoning violation, because we didn't really have any procedures when I took over this position. I mean, generally, yes, if you violate it, you usually get a letter from the zoning administrator, but other than that, we didn't really have anything on paper. So what I did was I wrote a series of 3 letters, which is typical to do, to send someone to say there is a violation. So this is a sign violation, accessory structure being built without a permit done ahead of time, things like that, okay? So these are things that are in the resolution that they're violating that needs correct, okay? So the 3 steps is to send a letter. I'm going to go into them step by step, but it's basically to send a letter to a warning letter, and then a final warning letter, and then the actual violation letter, and then steps can be taken if the resident doesn't fix the violation. So I'm going to read it just as it's stated here, so I don't get tongue-tied. But to say there's a complaint that's filed, or a staff recognizes a potential violation, if substantiated, then we move on to the next step. So in other words, you see something, or one of our staff or a resident says, hey, my neighbor's doing X, and I don't think that's right. I will look into that, decide if it is a true violation, and then we move to the next step. So the resident would receive a warning letter, and they'll be given 30 days to correct that violation. And in your packet, you have a set of 3. And they have just general things. They're highlighted on my version, because I know that I need to change the date, the address, things of that nature. But it basically states, hey, here's the violation, here's what you need to do to fix it, and here's the days that you have to fix it. And if it's not fixed, then you're gonna get, the next step could happen, which is the next letter in the line. So that's what the first letter will state. If that's not corrected, then the resident will receive a final warning letter, and they're given 14 days to correct that violation. So that's the second one in the first packet. And it basically says the same things. Hey, this is your violation, this is how you can fix it, and if you don't, we're gonna move on to the next step, okay? And then if not corrected, the resident will receive an official violation letter. And I'll send that certified mail. I'm not gonna send the other one certified mail because I don't think we need the extra cost of postage, I just wanna send it out. I'll keep a record of it, of course, but the third one is important to send it certified. And they'll be informed that, they have 14 days to correct the violation or action will be taken. So this is what I highlighted in your paper because this is where you come in. Now, I haven't had to do this since I've been in this position, which is a good thing, but that doesn't mean that violations aren't out there. It's just, I didn't really have this stuff in place to go fix those corrections. And we haven't had a resident complaint of something. So these are just things that I would have to notice and see when I'm out and about.
Well, we have had an long time ongoing issue with
Go ahead.
a violation of a lot of things, the vehicles, the garbage, the nuisance, et cetera. But to this particular point, it never went very far because every letter that was sent was returned to us as not deliverable.
Okay.
Certified letters were never picked up.
Okay.
Letters that were posted on the property by the sheriff were never followed up.
Were these properties that had a resident there or they vacant?
No, they were residents
Okay.
on site. So, I don't know if you need another bullet about what happens if, no one responds to anything.
Well, I mean, according to the ORC, we have to notify them. And if it's the person of record. So usually send one to the property, but if you see that, on the auditor's website, that the owner lives in, wherever, another state, then you send letters joint. You send to the actual owner and then to the actual property, just in case, they have a renter or whatever they do.
Even if that's returned, you're gonna consider that to be noticed.
Well, I mean, we'll address it as it happens.
Mhm.
I mean, I have to be careful about just walking onto people's property, but that is, that's a possibility. You don't really have phone numbers, email addresses, there's no database of this information. Now, hopefully it's somebody that we know or, hey, I'm gonna go out to this property, you guys are ready about them or whatever, to get a little background information if I don't already know. But you have to notify them in some form or fashion. And sending a letter to that resident or to the owner's property if it's a different place, that is our steps. To go to the property, you gotta be smart about it. I don't mind taking a letter and going to someone's property, but I also wanna be smart about being on someone's property unannounced. So, we'll address those as they come up, but I understand that kind of hesitation.
Chris, did you say at some point we had the sheriff deliver?
That's a possibility too. You can do that.
That would be a separate, qualitatively different step that you're not listing.
Well, I don't think so in the sense that how we get that letter to them is how we get it to them. So to issue a warning letter, to issue a final warning letter, and to issue a violation letter is still the same. If it's the means of hand delivering it or in the mail or with the assistance of a sheriff or a deputy, it's still doing the task of delivering that letter. Because you gotta notify the person. You're hoping that someone reads it and goes, oh, I didn't know I was in
Well,
violation.
here you say via certified mail.
On the third one, for sure.
And you could add, or notification by the sheriff, or delivery by the sheriff.
Well, the sheriff wouldn't be delivering it. They would just assist you and attend with you. Does that make sense? Have you guys done it differently?
Is there a thing that
Well, a
says?
summons to, sheriffs will, this is very different, but a sheriff's office will physically take a summons to a court hearing,
Right?
not the prosecutor's office taking it, the sheriff will take it.
Right. Well, I think everything at the point of notifying should be something that I can do via mail, via delivery, and if I feel it needs to be something where we have law enforcement attend as well, then that can happen.
In the past, and it's only happened like twice in my memory, the sheriff doesn't, in this particular case, the sheriff does not deliver the letter or the summons. He or she just accompanies
That's what I understand.
the zoning administrator while they deliver. Because technically, we're not supposed to be on their property
Correct.
without permission, and it's hard to get from the road, without the front door open up,
Sure.
you know. So it's better to be safe than sorry.
Yeah.
Especially if you've been refused, delivery 3 times.
So anyways, okay, so get to that point. If we're doing to the part where we're going to do action, this is where obviously this falls into your court, because this is where I continue to do the paperwork, but it's not in my hands. It's not my decision. So at this stage, this is when we would involve the prosecutor's office that would assist with filing a civil complaint, if you choose to do so, with a maximum penalty. Right now, in our resolution, it's $100 per day per violation. But according to the ORC, it's actually, it should be 500. And that is a change that we're anticipating making with this year-long grant. We've already written that one. It's in Article 9, I believe, 9 or 10. So right now, I could only charge, you could only charge someone $100 per day per violation, if it goes that far. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So any questions? I know I didn't give you time to read it. Well, I did email this out to you prior, but
So with that last point, are you asking us to do something, or just wait until your new amendment takes place and we'll raise it to 500?
that will, anything that we have as far as violation, this is something I report on a monthly basis. So if I'm reporting to you and telling you, hey, we did 2 permits this month and this is what they were, this is when the zoning commission met, whatever. It would also be, hey, I have 2 violations that are out there, we're at this stage. And then we'll know as we're getting closer, hopefully somebody's just gonna fix the problem. That's what we'd like to happen. So, yeah, at some point we get the prosecutor involved and yes, and you guys decide. I would come to you and say, hey, I would like, I've done this, I've done X, X, and X, and now I'm at a point where you can take action. And you could also do nothing. You could also say, well, that resident X, I know them, and, it's your choice at that point. Does that make sense? I'm trying to be as correct as I can in my wording. But yeah, that,
Okay.
you would have a chance at that point to file, and the prosecutor's office would assist with that, to file civil charges and actually charge someone that currently $100 a day per violation, and put a lien against their property if it gets to that point. And we're taking things to the nth degree, right? We're taking it all the way to the end. Hopefully they get a letter, it's explained that they're in violation and they fix that violation. That's the goal. That's what we'd like to see happen. So any questions on general violations? And again, I will report these as they happen. So it's not gonna be, here in 2 weeks, I'm gonna say, well, we're at that point where I've already sent out 2 letters and we're ready to.
Okay.
You got a list of 18
Yeah, no.
violations.
And know that really, again, it starts with the goal. The goal is to show the resident that that's in the resolution, that is a violation, and this is how you can correct it, and ask them to help them correct the violation. I'm gonna continue on, and I'll let you address if you want to involve Fred, or residents to have any comments.
Yes.
That's up to you.
This is pertinent to his work right this minute, right? What he's discussing?
Yeah.
Okay. What you got?
Well, I know you're going to do this, talk with the township trustees if you have a problem, but I don't know if it's in your job description that all violations will be made to the attention of the township trustees, maybe even at a public meeting, but wherever it's brought. I don't know you're here now, and 10 years from now, I don't know who the zoning administrator will be. Does your job description require you to let you know, inform you, and require you to present that information to the board?
I guess the short answer was, I don't necessarily have to tell the board everything I'm doing, but there's no reason to not tell them what I'm doing. But when it comes to a point where I'm recommending,
The prosecutor.
This is the violation that's happened, this is what I've done so far, here's photographic evidence of what has been done, to present all of that and ask them, hey, it's now in your court if you would like to, pursue civil charges against this individual. That's,
I'm fully confident that you will do that. I just wondered if it's in your job description that the person who functions in your position needs to tell the Board of Trustees when there are violations that are not being corrected. It's a funny question.
I understand. I would not say that anywhere that I know in the ORC that tells me that directly, but I mean, just common sense, you would keep your boss informed when you're doing something. And definitely I need to get them, they would never know to do the third letter stating somebody's violating it, if I didn't tell them the stuff that happened prior to that. That's kind of where we're at. But I would always keep you informed of violations and because we want to get them fixed, and you might offer things that help to get that particular thing fixed. So, okay, we good with the general zoning violation? This is in my purview, this one happens. This is the reason I'm being very specific about this one. Okay, so now I want to start from the top and just generally talk about junk vehicles and junk vegetation, debris, and things that may be in someone's yards that's causing a nuisance, okay? So, this started almost a year ago when a resident did come to you, Chris, and talked about junk vehicles in a particular yard, okay? So, that was one of the first text amendments that we did with the zoning commission, because I wanted to fix that because our resolution had an outdated, the law had changed several years ago and we just didn't update our resolution. Okay, because it said that 3 of 5 things have to happen for it to be considered a junk vehicle. It's actually 3 things and it has to be all 3 of those things, which I'll get into in a second. So, we wrote, with the help of the zoning commission, wrote revised a text amendment for junk vehicles. And we also revised just junk and debris, because it was generally mentioned in our resolution, but there wasn't really steps to fix it.
Mhm.
When it went to regional planning actually agreed with kind of how we were, but the prosecutor's office looked into it a little bit deeper than some have in the past and said technically it's not a zoning violation, your zoning administrator can't address it, it shouldn't be in your resolution. Now this was a conflict between even regional planning and their experience, including myself feeling the same way, that we didn't think like, no, zoning can't handle that particular thing. Well, come to find out that there is an ORC, it's listed in here, it's 505-87A, is the abatement, control, and removal of vegetation, garbage, refuge, and other debris. And there's also ORC 505, don't worry about all these numbers, but 505-871, which is about junk motor vehicles. So what the ORC specifically states, because everything we do in zoning has to be specifically stated, everything we do as a township, really, is we cannot put it in our zoning resolution. So for that reason, I cannot follow up and send letters from the zoning department saying, you have a junk vehicle, okay? So since I'm not able to do that, what the prosecutor found was those ORCs that specifically state, you as the Board of Trustees have that ability to address junk vehicles, and you have the ability to address junk, debris, all that really long vegetation abatement statement, okay? If you had an administrator, a township administrator, you could delegate that. That one is specifically stated in the ORC that you could delegate that. But I did get the prosecutor's office to agree that it can be delegated to a staff member, and I am considered a staff member. So when we address these 2 particular topics, the letters you will see aren't written, they're from you in care of me. And these are both suggestions. If you guys disagree with this, then these both go away, okay? But it's the only way that we can address, when I say we, I'm saying you, can address junk or, vegetation, overgrown, all that kind of stuff from a resident, or the junk vehicle, which has to meet the 3 criteria. Okay?
Junk debris
So
too.
the only way that those can be addressed is that you decide that you want to address them. I will be happy to be the staff that does the photographs, the sending out of the letters. When it comes down to it, for both of these, I'll go in step by step. You will have to do a resolution, a motion, I believe, to either call it a nuisance when it comes to the garbage part, or deem something a junk vehicle specifically, okay? So I'll go through the steps, but I just want to give you the overall picture of why I'm even talking about this. Go ahead.
If he's recommending that it not even be in the zoning resolution, by what authority do we go after? Do we trustees?
Because of ORC 505871.
Okay, got it, I got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, 871 is the junk vehicle one, and then A version is the abatement of garbage and everything. Okay? So let's go down that road, but just realize general violations of the zoning resolution is in my purview. This is only if you're delegating this to me to do. So if not, these can be addressed by you as trustees if you wanted to. And I will let you know where all the junk vehicles are if you want to do it on your own, or you can assign me to do it and we can go through these steps. That's basically what I'm asking today. So if you look at the one that says garbage, refuse, vegetation, and other debris. Again, I'm going to read it, but the ORC 50587A, the abatement, control, or removal of vegetation, garbage, refuge, or other debris gives the trustees authority to take actions for this violation of the ORC. That's the other part of this too. In a general zoning violation, they're in violation of the zoning resolution for our township. These with garbage and the junk vehicles, they're actually violating the ORC, okay? Some zoning resolutions list this, I'm just giving you all the details, but list this as a zoning matter, but technically the zoning inspectors or administrators do not have authority to address from a zoning perspective. Staff can assist with administrative tasks associated with this type of violation. And this all comes from, well, it was Tracy at the time, at the prosecutor's office. And all three of these letters have been approved by, regional planning helped me with some of the wording, but really Jen Huber at the law office approved all of these letters. Because it was in a period where Tracy was leaving, and so I had sent these to her, and this is where we came. Well, we did a couple back and forth, but to get to this point. All right, so let's say a complaint is filed or staff recognizes a potential violation. If substantiated, then we move on to the next step. So in other words, I look into it, oh yes, that is definitely a junk vehicle, or that's, a lot of garbage in someone's particular yard. All right, the resident would receive a warning letter and given 14 days to correct the violation, just like the other one. If not corrected, the resident will receive a final warning letter and be informed of a date that has been selected for the Board of Trustees to decide on passing a resolution deeming the property a nuisance. And that's in quotes, because that is what you're basically saying. So what will happen is, let's say, hey, there's a violation, I send a warning letter out on your behalf, and it's not corrected, or I don't hear back from that resident that putting in a plan of action to get it corrected. Then I will say, hey, is it okay to add this to the agenda to your next meeting, and I have information I'll provide you guys about particular nuisance, okay? So the resident is notified, and they're obviously able to come to any meeting, just like any resident is, and then plead their case if they choose to, and that's what the letter states, so they know that. So they're given this final warning letter that tells them when the Board of Trustees will be meeting to do that. Now, you don't have to do it that evening, but if you decide, based on the information that I provide, or if the resident wants to speak, or neighbors want to speak on that behalf, that's their choice. We don't put it out as a public hearing, but, So, all right. So following the Board of Trustees resolution, if it gets that far, the resident will receive an official violation letter and given 7 days to correct the actions to be taken. So again, this is highlighting on your piece because this is where a next step would be involved if you choose to do it. At this stage, the trustees, with the guidance of the prosecutor's office, trustees can correct the violation and charge the cost to the resident by issuing a tax lien upon the property for that amount. So in other words, if there is a lot of garbage and debris, again, I hope we never have to even get to this point, and we won't really worry about it until we get there. Find someone that will go out and clear this up, or I do it, the road department does it, or whoever you guys decide, clean up a particular property that's been identified, or there's garbage and we get rid of it, or we hire someone to come in and do that. You would have to initially foot that bill, obviously, pay that company that comes in to do it, or pay us as staff members to, hourly rate or whatever. And then that amount you can charge as a lien. And then again, the prosecutor will be involved at that point to make sure they're doing that. You're doing it the correct way. Does that make sense? For the garbage, debris, all that kind of stuff. Now, I will say just my initial from driving around the township, over the past X number of months, there's definitely 2 of these, if not 3, that I've just identified. And you probably know of one of them. We don't need to get into the details because it's not official yet, but yeah, there's one that's been many years.
Quite a while ago, when we were initially dealing with this and trying to figure out how to do it, we were under the understanding that, yes, we personally would have to take care of the property, but if there's anything of any value on the property, metal, say, you know, we could be reimbursed, we could take that, we could take the proceeds from that
Yes,
to reimburse us for the cost of us cleaning it up.
correct. And that is big with the junk vehicle one, which we'll talk about in a second.
Yeah.
But yes, that is, I
Okay.
understand that is correct.
It's still okay.
But again, when we get to that point, the prosecutor's gonna tell, that's when Brian shuts up and
Mhm.
the prosecutor says, you can do X, X, and X.
Mhm.
No matter what I have said previously, but I believe I'm correct in everything I'm saying so far. So that would get us to garbage, and again, there's 3 letters, I don't expect you to read them all, but I want you to be aware. And really, by the time that we're done, if you don't wanna do it today or another day, let me know that, or maybe even pass a resolution stating that I am a staff member that can handle, specifically ORC violations, ORC 505, 871 violations. Something like that, kind of, I guess legally to cover, no one's told me that specifically, but if you pass a resolution stating that I'm the staff member that's able to handle it, if you choose to. Then there can't be somebody that sues us later and goes, well, the person that sent the letters wasn't officially authorized to do that on behalf of the Board of Trustees. That's how I feel about it. So that is the junk, garbage and all that. When it comes to junk motor vehicles, there are 3 things that have to happen. And all 3 of these have to happen. It has to be at least a model 3 years or older, which isn't very difficult for that to happen. Apparently inoperable, which is a very specific choice of words. And that is your interpretation, because this would fall under your purview. And again, if we get to that point where we find something that is apparently inoperable. Now, when we go to do this, I will provide you with photographs that show, like, hey, this is the junk vehicle, this is the location, this is what I think. If at some point you look at that as a board and say, I don't think that meets those 3 criteria, then it drops. It's no longer my decision, it's your decision. I'm just facilitating this to happen. So 3 years or older, apparently inoperable, and extensively damaged. That's another one. It's kind of gray, but it gives you enough to go by. What does extensively damaged mean? Well, if it doesn't have a windshield, if it has, the doors aren't on it, doesn't have tires, things like that. Those are, and I've done a couple of trainings on this, but that, and so have you, I'm sure. Those are the 3 things that gives you the ability through the ORC to say something is a junk vehicle. So I would have to provide you guys with photographic evidence that shows, hey, and that can be difficult sometimes because it depends on where it is on someone's particular property. Obviously, the closer that a violation happens to the main road, the more we're gonna see it, or the more a neighbor's gonna see it. The further back in your property or behind things, you might not even know they're there, but again, if you don't know they're there, who's it bothering? I shouldn't say that, but you know what I mean.
Again, it used to be that if you went out to the property
Mhm.
and if you didn't get shot.
Correct. That's the goal.
Yeah, and you said, okay, to the property owner, well, I've decided this is a junk vehicle, this is a junk vehicle, this is a junk vehicle. And they go, no, this is a historic vehicle, this is an antique vehicle, this is a vehicle that I intend to rebuild. They had the option at that time of moving those vehicles under cover. If they're under cover, like in a barn, in a shed,
Yeah, yes.
such, not
In a
tarp,
structure,
in a structure,
yes.
then they can be exempt from being removed.
You can have, that's what, it being the first letter, is asking them to move it to either
Oh, is that
off the
right?
property or stored into an accessory structure. Yes, you can have all the junk vehicles you want if they're in accessory structures. So we don't care, or you should not care, because it really falls under you. You should not care if someone has a junk vehicle. in a barn.
Mhm.
That's not, who's that hurting in the township?
Okay.
So,
I see.
so the only difference in these two, they're the same timeline and everything, the only difference is your resolution that you would pass would deem something a junk vehicle. That's the key to that. And again, the person would get a warning letter that says, hey, the trustees are gonna meet on this date. You're welcome to come state your case. So they might come and say, hey, that's a historical vehicle and I think this. But it comes down to those three things. It comes down to, is it 3 years or older? Is it extensively damaged? And is it appear to be inoperable?
Mhm.
Now, the person can say, hey, man, I put the doors back on it. We did this or this. I'm gonna leave it where it's at. And if you guys are fine with it, then that's where it ends.
Yeah.
It's just like any violation. If it's a violation, until it's not a violation. So, and again, the same last step is the same. The prosecutor would get involved, but you can contract someone to physically come and take that particular vehicle and even resell it. You had mentioned that about other things. If you find something of value, you can resell it and recoup part of that. Now, the key to that is it cost you $500 to get something removed. You sold it for $100. You should charge the resident $400 because you did make $100 out of that.
Mhm.
But yeah, initially you get the whole,
Mhm.
whatever, if it costs $500, you can put a tax lien against their property for that amount.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, I hope we never do this, but I'm setting up everything in a form or fashion that we can address these things. Again, a year later, but we'll finally get to the point where if you guys are comfortable, then we can start going this route. It just took a long time because there was a lot of back and forth to get this where it needed to be.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's where I am with those three particular things.
Well, I didn't want to put this on you right away when you started.
Sure.
I mean, we knew it was in the back burner, but, I wanted to give you an opportunity to get your feet wet and comfortable. So I'm glad you started to
Well,
go into the weeds with this.
the prosecutors threw a real wrench into it when they were like, no, you're not even authorized to do that. I'm like, well, it's in every zoning resolution. All 12 have it in there in Greene County, because I've read them all. But she had a very good point. We're kind of getting in the weeds about like, well, if you don't have a township administrator, then who can do it?
Mhm. Right.
And honestly, Tracy's first response to that was, well, the trustees have to do it.
Mhm.
Michelle and I at regional planning were both like, that's not gonna happen. They're not gonna send the letters. They're not gonna go do the photographs. That's not gonna happen. So yeah, that's where we stand. And then there was a lot of fine tuning in this to get the words right.
No,
That
sure.
Jen finally got a good copy of, like, using this letter, put the period here and stating it here. So these are pretty lock solid letters that we can use. So all I need from you is just, I would hope that you would pass a resolution stating me as a staff person that can handle ORC 505, 87A, and 871 violations.
You want that at the time it happens, or like generally, like next week?
I think any time, and you can.
Let's plan on doing it in our next meeting.
Yeah, that's fine.
We need a little time to absorb the letters and just
Sure,
make
absolutely.
sure that we're all comfortable.
Yeah, it's a big deal, and I wanna make sure that we have this. And I can send out an email just reminding those two ORCs. Well, you have it right in front of you,
Yeah.
but I think that's all it needs to say, is just allowing me to do administrative tasks on your behalf.
Okay. I will produce the resolution to have at our next meeting,
Okay.
if we so desire.
Okay. All right,
Busy.
gonna move on to giving you an update on text amendments. Is that good? I'm gonna go up here, if that's all right. I think I wanna show you, better to see it up top. Chris, this might be a good time to ask if you choose to, if anyone has any questions about that.
Does anyone have any questions about this?
If you want to. I'll be happy to answer them what I know. And again, the goal, is to get the resident to understand it's a violation and hopefully they get it fixed. That's really what we want. Okay. I wanted to do this thing from kind of taking a step back because I know I come to meetings and I say, text amendment this and text amendment that, and we're changing this. I wanted to kind of take a step back and just show you the table of contents in our resolution and kind of show you what we've done so far in 2025 and what we're looking forward for the zoning resolution. So if you look at the color coded guide, I'm going to zoom in when we get on individual pages, so I'm sure it's hard to see. But everything in green that's going to be highlighted in the table of contents is already been approved by you for 2025, okay? And then in yellow are the amendments that the zoning commission has already reviewed, and they're kind of like in draft form, because this is what we're working with Michelle at Regional Planning to present in, I believe it's March. It'll be in the spring. I don't want to quote because I don't have the timeline in front of me, but we're putting them all together so we present it all as one big thing. So the yellow ones are the ones the zoning commission has already looked at and kind of in draft form. There might be one or two little notes that we're going to try to work ourselves to finalize. And then everything in the light blue is the things that are upcoming that we're going to discuss in the next 2 months, basically. And then everything that's in purple is just things that I still want to look into. There's still some things that need fixed, but it's going to be after it's going to be post grant. So at the end of, the second half of 2026, probably. Okay, so I don't want to get too much in the weeds because I'm going to do these page by page, but I just want to give you an overview of like what our table of contents even looks like. There's nothing we're really doing in Article 1, 2, 3, and 4 is something we're going to be doing in the next couple of months. Article 5 is the big one that has all of the supplemental stuff. So you can see the green stuff that we've already done. I don't have my clicker, my pointer. But, accessory structures, you remember that when we did that one, fences and screening. So those are the things in green. The architectural agricultural uses. Anyways, let me show you the big picture first. So you see a lot of color in this, a lot of things that either we want to change or in working and changing them. And then let me zoom in and do these individually. Okay. Okay. And it's hard for me because I'm in the weeds of this all the time and I know exactly where things are, but I want to try to explain it in a way. So again, Article 1, there's not a whole lot that we're changing in most of the Article 1 stuff. It's pretty laid out pretty well. 2 is the definitions. We'll do that one last. That'll be one of the last ones we do. That's just fixing all the definitions, adding new definitions if we add new terminology. Article 3 and Article 4 are the districts. So again, it's in blue, so that means we're going to work on that in the next 2 months. Jane Sweet will be leading that. All right, in Article 5, again, the green ones we've done. I mentioned a couple of those already. The ones in yellow are the ones that they have at least in draft form. So projections into required yards, parking of recreational vehicles, swimming pools. Those are 3 that I'm actually going to talk to you about today. Just to give you a heads up. I won't go into the purple ones because that's just for the future. So agricultural uses, the last one right there in green, that one's already done. A couple more in purple that we'll get to. A few things that, before you've probably seen this, is just future planning without what we were actually trying to put into these future planning. Some of these, just because they're titled in there, is my idea, regional planning support on how you can accomplish that, but the zoning commission still has to decide, yes, we want to do that, or no, we don't want to do that, or we want it to be restricted by X, X, or X, okay? So we're looking into home occupation. We have home occupation, but kind of define it a little bit better. Bed and breakfast operations, we've had it there before. Short-term rentals, that's a new one that you have not seen before. Well, they're happening in your township, but they're not technically in the resolution. Temporary structures and temporary uses, defining that a little bit better. That's coming up here soon.
That one has a long history, right?
Which one?
Temporary structures, temporary uses, they took that up a couple of years ago and they went through several things through regional planning and then tabled it when they couldn't agree. But we don't have to go into that, but is that the same thing we're talking
Yes. It was listed in our Article 9 and 10, which 9 and 10 is the one that talks about which one of the boards do, what I do, what you guys do is in relationship to zoning. It really shouldn't have been in there because it's really technically not a task that the BZA decides, temporary uses. You need to define it better in your resolution, and then you make it a conditional use in a particular district. Then it becomes a conditional use that the BZA can say. Because that was one of the problems the BZA had, was just like, what you're asking us to do technically is kind of a
Yeah, and
weird thing.
And we've been all through that, they
Yeah.
came, so the zoning commission said, we hear you, we're gonna take it out, they made it a draft.
The zoning commission.
They shot it
wanted-
down, they made another
Yeah.
draft, they shot it down, and then there was a meeting at which they said, well, it seems obvious that we should make it a conditional use, and they said they don't wanna put it in the BZA's court. They
Yeah.
want it to be conditional
The
use,
zoning commission didn't want temporary uses at all.
and they tabled it.
Yeah.
I remember the meeting at which they tabled
Mhm.
it, yeah.
Which is, I mean, it's still a conversation, but I think there are times when temporary uses are allowed. And really, if you think about a temporary use, so you say a district says you can do A, B, C, and D, and then there's something else. We'll call it a comedy show, because that's what everyone knows what we're talking about. It's not a use, it's not A, B, C, or D, but will we allow that just on a temporary basis? Just for so many days, all these conditions goes along with that. That's what you're trying to determine. Or a Christmas tree, like the Boy Scouts want to set up somewhere, they do it in other places and sell Christmas trees. That would be a temporary thing. Or if we don't have a lot of businesses, but if you have businesses and they're not allowed to use their parking lot to sell, that's just for parking, because those spots are supposed to be for people that go into the store or business, whatever it is. But you can authorize a sale in a parking lot, a temporary sale. You know what I mean? That's what a temporary sale is. It's just, we're not allowing that use to happen all the time, but on a temporary basis, we'll consider it. And if you do that as a conditional use, the BZA determines that. Okay. So anyways, as we go down, some of these are not gonna be addressed in the next couple of years because there's no real reason to go into them. What we have is good enough. Cemeteries, we never really addressed. There's not a lot into that one. But that is one that I'll talk to you guys about once we have that one ready to be talked about. Private airports, landing strips, helipads, that was a little topic. There's not a lot to these. You gotta realize there's like a few conditions to each one of these. But 521 is kind of a big one, accessory dwelling units. This is one thing that we're going to discuss at the next meeting. There's a lot of advantages to accessory dwelling units if you do it the correct way. I don't want to get in the weeds about it, but I just want to tell you that your zoning commission is going to discuss it next month. I'll go all the way down to Article 6. Again, I'm not addressing the purple ones because they're not really worth talking about at this point in time. Article 6, off-street parking, we have addressed that one and rewrote that one, which is a lot simpler. Signs is one that we're going to do next month as well, and just kind of define it a little bit better. Our signs section was really unlawful, a lot of it, because the law did change a couple years ago about a year ago, really. Not being able to restrict by content. It's really more about if it's a commercial use or not, and if it's a temporary or a permanent sign. We've found a fix, I think, that's gonna make it a lot more sense. Nonconformities is one that you guys have already approved, and then again, I was referred to it, but 9 and 10 are the administrative bodies and all the procedures. Those I'll address to you guys. We have that one done in draft form, but I'm not gonna do it tonight. So I wanted to give you kind of a step back and see what things are happening and why they're happening, instead of me coming up and just saying the word text amendment all every meeting. So does that make sense?
Yeah.
So there are 3 of them that I would like to address with you. And again, remember this. We're trying to do about, I don't know what the number is, let's call it 18 different text amendments all in one group. Now before, you typically go, the zoning commission meets, they say, yes, we want to do A, B, and C and make a change in this particular section. They send it to regional planning. Regional planning says, yeah, we like this, don't do this, that's unlawful, that's okay. They get the prosecutor involved usually, and they send it back and say, here's our recommendation back to you. The zoning commission has a public hearing. They get public input, they review what regional planning suggested, and then they package it together and they send it to you guys, and that's when I come and brief you, and then you approve or disapprove or alter it if you want to alter it. So instead of doing, that's what we'll do on a normal basis, that's a normal operating procedure, but since we have this grant and we have a way to get, Michelle working on this on off-duty times that we're not usually sending her stuff, and doing a lot of research for us to get it to be legally sound, we're putting it at 18 of these all in one block. So what I'm trying to do, instead of trying to review 18 of these, for you guys next April, I think it is, when you're having your public hearing. I'm going to try to highlight them and talk about the details now. And as long as the zoning commission doesn't change anything, I won't really address it. I'll just be like, okay, when we do this in May for you guys, it'll be, here's architectural projections. It's the same as it was before. I'll say a couple things and I'll move on. Make sense? Okay.
It does accept that public input, seems, how does that
I gotcha.
affect public input?
So, one thing is, every time the zoning commission finishes one, and we have it in draft form, even there might be some lines through it, because we haven't decided on something, because sometimes we're like, the group would like to discuss something more, or learn more about it before they make a decision, right? I have put those on the website. I'm waiting on our website, so if you go to the zoning resolution, there's a note there that explains everything, as in what we're doing with the grant for residents. And I have started to put at the beginning of our website, where it says that the zoning commission is meeting, I put the topics that we're about to talk about.
On the front page.
That's on the front, yes. That's not something we had on there before. So in lieu of an agenda, that's basically an agenda. Because unless there's something in front of the zoning commission board, you basically talk about, whatever it is.
So the public hearing is all happening at once.
Right, so the intent of what regional planning wants us to do is hold an open house. So we'll have an evening meeting and I don't know all the details of how we're going to do it, but we would have copies of everything. And then I don't know if Michelle's gonna do a presentation, I'll do a presentation, the zoning commission will be here.
All these things.
Yeah, I don't know how we're gonna hit all of them, it's
Yeah,
just an open house to get people to come in, so it's an official meeting of the zoning commission, but it's a little bit, I've never really done one of those before, but
maybe you and I should talk,
I don't know,
I don't know.
other than those things, I don't know what else to do to,
Like, what if somebody really concerned with accessory dwellings?
okay?
What color was the accessory dwelling?
That's blue, that's something we're doing, and we're talking about accessory
And
dwellings.
that's a big
next month.
topic, it's almost a historic topic because it's been the same for so long and
Mhm.
there's been so many examples of reasons why it could change. How does a person become involved, someone who cares about that?
Sure. Anybody can come to any zoning commission meeting. Anybody can email me or call and ask questions. I'll be happy to explain stuff to them. It's going to be discussed at the zoning commission meeting next month. There'll be an open house that will present again. There's also,
At the end, there's gonna be an open house.
there's about 4 different opportunities. One is when the zoning commission is going through it, which, like last month we talked about.
And you welcome public there to be involved in
Sure.
this process, very rapid process.
Sure.
Yeah,
I mean, if there was something else to do, we would do it. I mean, to put it on our website, to announce what we're talking about at the zoning commission meeting.
for
they can
example, there's
attend
been
that.
like 3, possibly 4 different people have inquired about temporary uses, from book signings
Sure.
to comedy clubs to expanded birthday parties. All of those people would be very surprised. I don't know why they'd be checking our website to see what that very important decisions are being made. So maybe we can come up with something. Maybe there's another way to let the public know. They might not many people might care about how far a chimney.
Oh, I
sticks
guarantee
out,
no one cares about this one.
But there might be identify 3 or 4, we should get the word out there that this thing that you care a lot about is happening now.
I understand what you're saying. Let me just throw a couple things at you. One is everything we're doing is how we're allowed to do it according to the ORC. Okay, so that is one thing, that we are doing it the correct way. But it's also, with doing this grant, it's actually built in a couple more times for people to come. And so you can attend the meeting, you can contact me directly.
If you know what's happening, you know what's going on.
And it's on our website. Or you can contact me, I can always share I can go over this with any resident, they can tell me, and if they email me and have concerns about something, then I will read those at the zoning commission meeting, if someone can attend. I mean, besides going door to door and asking people like how they feel about something and taking a survey, I mean, I think we're doing,
No, I think there's something in between, like, okay, you're
Yeah.
dealing with temporary use, you're dealing with accessory dwellings. That's in the paper and maybe is on some sort of online news edition or social media or something that says, hey, everybody, and there are many who have opinions about accessory dwellings, this is happening. But to think that you're going about your business and somehow, oh no, check in with Brian's or check in on the website, see if accessory dwellings has been brought up after 10 years. I just, that,
well,
and
like,
then you
accessory
said there's
dwelling.
two more things, well, they could come at the last minute while we're trying to pass 18 things in one night or one open house.
Well, the open house is scheduled, so we're gonna discuss it in November, with the zoning commission. There's an open house in January, which will present all of these.
Together.
There is the zoning commission, yes. The zoning commission will meet again in February to finalize some stuff. March, the zoning commission has their own public hearing for all, I think it's 18 text amendments.
Okay.
That's in March, so people can come to that as
For all
well.
18, one public hearing for all 18.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, can you get in the weeds of everything? No, but you print things out and like, what are concerns? Let's hit the highlights of these. I mean, you can't go line by line but you can address if people have something to say about something, they're gonna have that opportunity to do that.
Okay.
And then,
I mean,
so after that, so now we're what, in March? I think it's April is when I think, it's either April or May, I forget which one, will be your public hearing.
for all 18 in
Uh-huh.
town.
Yes,
That's crazy to me. That we're having public hearings where there's 18 amendments.
yeah,
Most of them not very controversial,
sure.
but 2 or 3 of them that deserve a public hearing.
They're gonna get 2 public hearings.
Actually,
two
it's
lines.
actually 3.
It's,
Three.
one's actually a public meeting.
3 hearings of 18 things at once. Well, anyway, so perhaps the 2 of us could think of some way
Sure,
of.
I'm open to another suggestion, I want people to know. Oh, go ahead, you finish, and then
Like,
if you wanna address.
When is, if someone really wants to make a point about accessory dwellings, where is that point where they present evidence or present appeal to their need for accessory dwelling? Do they interrupt the zoning commission? Is it part of an 18 amendment spread? Open house? Is it part of another
Yes.
public hearing in
Yes,
which there are
always.
18 other things and another public hearing in which there are 18 other things? It's
Well, we all know no one's gonna talk about Article 9 and 10 because they don't know what the procedures are and it's really all set up by the ORC. No one's gonna, I mean, there's only a couple of things, I know what you're saying, I know the two, I know the
So maybe we
two.
work together and
Sure.
identify the ones that we know that people have come to us about. We've had BZA hearings
Sure.
about some of them, like a couple, accessory dwellings just this year. Maybe we could identify the ones that people would feel left out if they didn't know it was happening.
Sure.
Yeah, okay.
And that's why I guess I would lean more back to you as Board of Trustees, you know
Yeah.
what has happened in the past. I'm doing my job from my position the best way that I know how, and
And I appreciate the grant and I appreciate the rush
Yeah.
thing, but to say we're having a public hearing on 18 different things, bring your ideas is insufficient.
again, I would
Yeah,
support
okay.
any new way of looking at it or any,
Okay, I
Anything
think
to add?
ideas, thanks for bringing up, I could
absolutely,
think about that.
absolutely. You may continue, you have questions, or do you want to address, it's up to you.
Kate.
Kate?
Kate has.
Hi, just a comment following this conversation, there are a couple things that might be more of general interest, more controversy, more divided opinion. I love in the Yellow Springs News when I can look and see, village council, these are the topics. And I wonder for the controversial ones, if it might be worthwhile to list in the zoning commission meeting or here, where we see it in the community calendar, this will be discussed, when we know it's one of the things that has more passion around it. What do you guys think?
You're addressing the trustees, you answer how you want.
I like that idea. Yes, I agree, and it just occurred to me, could we have a hearing for 15 things, and then hearings, and then maybe a hearing for accessory dwellings, a hearing for temporary use, and a hearing for whatever the third one might be.
There's a couple of things to this. You gotta realize when I say the zoning commission is going to talk about accessory dwelling units, that's a fact, okay? The zoning commission may not choose to add that to our resolution. That's a fact as well, that could happen. I think that it has my support, there's a way to do it the right way. Regional planning supports it, I know I've already talked to Michelle and we've shared ideas, and she's writing it, I don't have it in my hands yet of how it's going to
In her
look.
2040 plan, or the county's 2040 plan, they asked
Still
the
matches.
jurisdictions to reopen
Sure.
things like that.
Sure. But stating that it's still a thing to be discussed. And it's not like if you don't get your words in next month with the zoning commission, you're out of luck. That's not the case. Does that make sense? Like, there are other opportunities. That's like a work session to work out some of those details. Like when a zoning commission meets to go over stuff, those are open meetings and anyone can attend and we'll be happy to tell you what's on the agenda or the topics. But really it's not, there is a time for public hearing and that's after it's been sent to regional plan. I'm just going
Yeah.
officially, it goes to regional plan, it comes up and then you have to hold a public hearing and say, hey, here are the 8 things that we're thinking about changing within this particular section, or adding, as the case may be, if it's something we don't have. That's when you ask for that public opinion, but we're also having an open house too, because this is a lot all at one time. Like, that's something that we contracted with regional planning, like that timeline is their timeline that we kind of have to abide by to make this all happen and be complete by the end of the year to satisfy the grant. I know everything I'm saying isn't solving everything that you want to hear, but,
Yeah,
and I'm willing to try other things additionally.
okay.
So, you have additional questions, you want me to address them now? I'm sorry.
Jane, did you have one?
No.
No, you were just, Fred,
If you knew that 2 things were controversial, and you knew that those 2
Can
things
we
were.
change it from controversial to something that people want input? I don't want to necessarily set up that where there's gonna be conflict.
If you knew this important topic was going to be discussed at the zoning commission as a public hearing, after it had already gone to regional planning, and now the zoning commission was going to look at regional planning's point of view, wouldn't it be nice if the public had an opportunity or knew that that was a time they could come for that topic and see what's being discussed and maybe add to the conversation at that point, at the zoning commission public hearing meeting, before that important topic then ends up in a pile up with 18 different topics at a public meeting in which it's hard to say, well, these people want to talk about 1 and these people want to talk about 2, and the other 16 things nobody's worried about. But there is a chance, it's just, does the public know that regional planning has looked at this important topic and the zoning commission is now on this date about to review that and have a public meeting about it. Not the public meeting that comes in February, March, or April, but the public meeting that comes after regional planning has looked at your points of view and brought their suggestions back to you. That's a point before all decisions have been finalized and before 18 things have been packed into one meeting. That's a point if the public knew about it. That's a point at which they could interact with the process.
Sure.
Before we get to a meeting with everybody in the town and 18 different things to talk about. Because you are talking about these things one at a time or two at a time. Eventually, you're gonna talk about 18 in a big meeting. It'd be nice if you could talk, if the public who's interested in that important topic could know that, oh, I should come on February the 1st or March the 2nd or something. Rather than say, oh, they had 3 meetings that I could have been to and now I'm finding out when there are 18. Because I think that's part of what you're talking about. But, and I'm not saying you're not doing that. I'm just saying that how does the public know that these 2 important things are gonna be talked about in December the 5th or January the 3rd?
Because it's on our website, which is the only thing that we have to, unless we run a particular ad in the paper, but we've had other meetings. We've talked about 15, 18 different text amendments in the past 6 to 7 months.
I've been
I mean,
to those meetings.
I know, you're every one of them. But I'm saying I don't believe that we're doing something not to get the public's input.
I'm
I would love
I'm
to
not
get it.
suggesting that you're hiding the thing.
No, I understand, but like, I think that we're doing the things that we need to do to get, to get this accomplished.
If it's still okay to have the conversation, from my point of view though, if the township trustees knew, these 2 topics are gonna be important. The township trustees, not maybe you, but could, if they wish, said, Yellow Springs News, we'd like you to know that we're doing important things in this area for the next 18 months. And these 2 items we think are very important, of interest to the public, to at least pay attention and know that we're talking about it. And that's a public notice not by you necessarily, or not by the zoning commissioners necessarily. It's by the township saying, we know these are important topics. There's a lot of important topics, but these important ones we think the public is going to want to be sure to know that they have an opportunity. I don't know that there's money involved if one has an ad. I understand that. But if one writes a letter to the editors, there may be less money involved, but the information may still get there.
Let me take what you said, Fred, and I listen to every word, and say that I've laid out the plan that I'm doing with the zoning commission. And if the board of trustees wants anything additionally so that we can, because you brought up a couple of months ago, like, the topic should be on our website, so we did put the text amendments that we have, they're in working draft form. Like, I'm willing to implement something. You tell me there's something else. I'm telling you what our plan is moving forward, and I will add more to it if you feel. I can't adapt the timeline
You can't adapt
as
the,
much, but
we can't separate out any of those for their own hearing. Is that what you're saying according to
no,
the
not
process?
if we want to address it within the time period of this grant. Now, could there be a topic that doesn't get decided on, or the
Needs to be
zoning
taken
commission
outside of the
doesn't move forward, then that will be dropped out and we'll continue with the grant work
Okay,
does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's always been that way with discussions. If there's something that, obviously, if the zoning commission doesn't agree to move something forward, it's not moving forward, no matter what.
Yeah.
Even if you put it into, our plan was to talk about this. They can also decide not to discuss something
yeah.
and hey, excuse my language, but damn the grant, we don't want to talk about it. Again, that's,
And nothing gets locked down. After this process, none of these are locked down. They can all be reopened.
well, once you, as a board of trustees, pass a text amendment, this would be a text amendment of several text amendments, then after 30 days, it's officially in our zoning resolution, it's officially the law of the land. And you can make text amendment changes anytime. The zoning commission, that's all they should be doing, is working to like, ooh, let's look at this particular topic, because it just hasn't happened for a long, there's been large gaps when there hasn't been work in the zoning resolution to improve it. I'll just say that statement. So there's a lot of things that I wish were addressed when, like, the laws, particular things changed, or public opinion, or accessory dwelling, or people started working from home more after COVID. Those kind of trends that happened that nothing got addressed in our particular resolution. It doesn't have to, but usually it should. So without taking much more time, because I know
Yes,
I've taken a lot, is it okay to go over a couple of these, or would you like me to?
Sure.
Okay. So architectural projections into required yards. What I have on the screen right there is the two things, and then I also have below it what we currently have. Okay, so all of that will be replaced by these two things. And basically all this did was simplified it that projections 24 inches are sticking out. So in other words, your house has to have a setback of so far from your property line, but you can have some projections that stick out. They're just not on the ground. So it just summarized that. This one is, we talked about controversy, not very controversial. And all projections should not project into setbacks. That's what basically those two statements say right there. Any questions about that one?
No,
It's a pretty simple one. Okay, I'm gonna minimize this, and again, we're only gonna do 3. All right, our 506 section is about swimming pools.
When
Basic,
would there ever be a public swimming pool?
you could have a public swimming pool. Why couldn't you? We have that as a use. You could build a public swimming pool if it was authorized in a particular, district.
Which zone would allow that?
We would put it in agriculture because that's your biggest. You're not going to put it in a residential district, probably.
I'm lost.
What?
Public swimming pool is a business that
Yes.
isn't agriculture.
Absolutely. Yes.
It is not agriculture.
Yes. An agricultural district is a district designed that the primary use is for agricultural purposes. But there are other uses that you can do. You can build a house on it. You can have a home occupation, if you decide. I'm saying we do now. You can have those particular things. You can do agritourism. You could build a house of worship in an agricultural district. You can put a cemetery in an agricultural district. It's better to change the name after that when you do that. But so just because something is an agricultural district, there are uses that you can add, either as a permitted use or as a conditional use that might have conditions that a zoning board.
So we will have, as a normal use in an agricultural zone, swimming pools.
Yes.
Don, it was before my time, but what was the swimming pool at the Boy Scout camp? Past Swimming Pool Road, at the end of that
It was state park.
state park pool,
Mhm.
a public pool.
Mhm.
Okay, well, there you go. It's a public
But it
pool.
was a state park,
Yeah.
not agricultural zone.
Well, just, I mean, I know there's like, the word agriculture
Go ahead.
doesn't mean that's the only thing that's allowed to happen there. Because if not, you would not have any homes built. You would
But
not have.
business,
Yes.
agriculture is the only business.
It doesn't have to be. You could do a home business. Right now, we allow home business. You could do something out of your home in that particular district. We'll get into that when we talk about our Article 4. So
There's
many
a lot
pools.
of permitted uses in agriculture. When you have the
Sure.
airport, you could have
Sure. Sure.
A
You
commercial
can allow that or you
or on a
cannot.
street.
It's up to, yes.
Depends, I don't know. Just
Okay.
says the airport.
Sure. All right, so the basic change was the previous one, our current one, it calls for a 400 feet setback from property lines. We changed that to 200 feet because 400 seemed a bit excessive for that. So shall be located at least 200 feet from property lines, shall be completely enclosed in a building, or if outdoors, completely surrounded by a fence, wall, or barrier adequate to prevent entrance from children no less than 5 feet tall. That was in there before, we just restated it. Facility operators must have an established plan for parking of vehicles that we didn't have before. D is signage must be in accordance with the restrictions established in Article 7, pretty standard. And then exterior lighting shall be angled wherever necessary to avoid casting direct light upon any property or any public street. That was in there before. All public swimming pools are considered a conditional use and must obtain a conditional use permit from the zoning, township zoning inspector, should say administrator, after a conditional use is granted by the Board of Zoning Appeals. So one of the things that we noticed in our resolution that it didn't tell for each particular uses if they needed to get a permit or if it had to go in front of the BZA. So we're making sure those clarifications are in there for each thing, so that residents don't have to question like, do I need a permit for that or this? Okay. Under the private residential swimming pool section. That is right here. The bigger things that we changed, the current one, said swimming pools must be located, the setback was basically 10 feet. We moved that to 15 feet, so a little bit farther away from property lines. But fencing and lighting was in there before. So as this one reads, shall meet the following requirements. A pool is intended solely for the entertainment of the occupants and guests of the principal user of the property on which it is located. As far as location, no swimming pool should be located closer than 15 feet from the property line. Pools may not be placed in any front yard and are subject to the same side yard setbacks as any primary structure within that district. Swimming pools and aprons that will be located within 20 feet of any component of any on-site well or any component of an on-site waste septic system must provide written approval by Greene County Health Department. That is one that we did not have before. And this is one that Michelle at Regional Planning, when she was doing her research with the health department, they suggested that we added that in there. So legal said it was an okay thing to do, which is a good thing. So before we didn't say that your pool could be right up to your septic system, which isn't a good thing really. So that was one thing that was added and changed. We distinguish between in-ground and above ground. In-ground swimming pools shall be walled or fenced to prevent uncontrolled access by children from any street or adjacent property. Any such fence shall not be less than 5 feet in height and maintained in good condition with a gate and locked. And the next line that you will see on there is line through. This is one that we had discussed. Didn't make a final decision. Well, the final decision was not to do it at the time, but we're going to readdress this one. Is allowing automatic pool covers instead of required fences. Automatic pool covers, they have to meet a particular requirement. I don't have it in front of me right now. It's put out by again, I don't have it in front of me, I really apologize. There's a particular agreement that particular pool cover has to meet, and it's a national water safety association. I can't remember the name of it right now. So that's one that we're discussing, that right now it's a fence, but allowing that automatic pool covers. And if you've ever watched videos about automatic pool covers, you can walk across the thing. Anyways, that's still up in the air. So that's one that when we come back to address this one, I will address that particular one, but everything else would generally stay the same. All right, above ground pools are required to have a ladder or steps that can be put up and or lockable to prevent uncontrolled access by children, but no fence surrounding the pool is required. Above ground hot tubs, spas, cold plunge tanks, or similar above ground units smaller than 50 square feet with an appropriate cover shall not require a permit. And I believe that is it. And then just define things a little bit better as far as a public pool and a private residential pool. That'll go in our definition section. Okay, any questions about that?
A grammatical correction, the paragraph above,
Okay,
it's not, it's, I think it's under A and it's under B, and under a little b, so it's down further.
okay. Yep.
Okay, now it's section 5062, article B, and then in the B it says pools may not be placed in any front. And in that section, that doesn't sound right.
In any front yard.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And F says, so zoning inspector, do you want to make it administrative?
Yeah, I'll do that. I'll make that change. I'll just minimize it for right now though. Okay. Last one is the parking of recreational vehicles. Any questions? None about that one? Okay. Okay, this is section 505. You'll see some stuff in red, and that's just how Michelle Regional Planning had altered what we had, so I just left it in there. So these should all be black, basically. Okay, so in our current one, RVs were only allowed in rear yards of residential. So we didn't address RVs in agricultural districts at all. We also restricted people to only putting them in their rear yard. So we didn't allow someone that had an RV in a residential to put it in their driveway. That didn't make a whole lot of sense. So we put some things in there that address that a little bit better. Yeah, that's the major things that we changed. All right, so 505.1, parking and storage of utility trailer. Oh, another thing too is we only addressed recreational vehicles, so we didn't talk about trailers or boats and boats with trailers before. So the parking and storage of utility trailer, travel trailer, camper, boat trailer, recreational vehicle, or similar type vehicles must adhere to the following. They may be parked no closer than 15 feet to any property line, must be maintained in an operational condition, and residential districts shall be limited to 2 such vehicles stored on the property unless stored in an enclosed garage or other accessory structure. D is accessory vehicles over, this is one that, oh, I know why it's in red, because we were still discussing this and we didn't finalize this one. We were looking at accessory vehicles over a particular size that were located in a front yard must be parked in an improved surface, such as a driveway or parking pad, to avoid people from parking in the grass. And that's a safety thing for leaking of all the fluids, and not that driveways will stop all of that, but at least it's a barrier to do so.
I might have just missed it, but what is an accessory vehicle?
An accessory vehicle? Well,
I just don't know what it is.
oh, it should be recreational vehicle. That's one that we're working on. I'm sorry, that is just recreational. I'm sorry, you're right. All right, point 2. No resident shall be maintained and no business shall be conducted with any recreational vehicle while such vehicle is parked on any lot except provided in section 505.6. And 505.6 talks about temporary use, which we're gonna get to down at the bottom of this. Okay. In any district, the wheels or any similar transporting device of such recreational vehicle shall not be removed except for repairs, nor shall such recreational vehicles be otherwise permanently fixed to the ground. No mobile home may be stored or parked in any district outside of an approved and licensed mobile home park or trailer court except as provided in section 505.6. And again, that's temporary use.
Real quick, Brian,
Yes.
I thought we changed, somebody changed, can't use mobile homes, has to be manufactured housing.
There was something about that, but I don't know. I mean, I know Michelle, we've already talked about this, so I know Michelle, this is already past legal too, so
Okay.
I know what you're saying, but let me get you that answer and come back to
Yeah,
it.
no problem.
But I know what you're saying, because it does get a little cloudy sometimes when they were talking about manufactured homes. But the key was that if it's specifically built as a mobile home, that they have to be in mobile home parks.
Right.
And basically, if you do that, you're trying to keep them out of your jurisdiction, really. Where was I? I'm sorry. It's to the ground. Point 4, no mobile home may be stored. I did that one, right?
You're at 5.5.
Yes. Point 5, thank you. The outdoor storage or parking of construction equipment such as backhoes, bulldozers, well rigs, or other similar construction equipment, other than equipment temporarily used for construction upon a site, shall not otherwise be permitted within a residential district. So we did not put that restriction for agricultural districts. All right, point 6 is all about temporary emergency residence. A lot of this wording we had before. I'm just going to kind of go over the highlights. But the owner of a property is permitted a temporary placement and use of habitation of a single recreational vehicle, travel trailer, camper, or mobile home upon a residential lot containing an existing permanent residential structure where the following circumstances occur. So basically this is, I, as in my position, can allow someone a temporary, so we're saying no mobile homes, but someone, or no, living in a recreational vehicle, but it can happen in certain situations. if your house burns down and they need us to live in your property, things of that nature. So the zoning administrator finds special circumstances or condition such as fire damage, everything that I explained. B, the applicant should provide, number one, showing me that they're actually live at that particular residence. Number two, the permanent residential structure is unfit for human habitation. And a written statement from the Greene County Health Department approving the water supply and the wastewater disposal of a temporary residence. So if somebody, God forbid, their house burns down and they need to live in a temporary facility while that's being addressed and fixed, then there's a couple of things that they'll work with me to make sure that we accomplish, so that we make sure it's safe in our township. Such a permit may be initially issued for a period of 1 year. This permit is renewable by 6-month increments as a conditional use authorized by the Board of Zoning Appeals. The applicant must provide documentation of evidence that encountered delays that were no fault of the owner. So in other words, this allows people to only do this for a period of time. So in other words, their house burns down, then they live in their RV, and then that turns into 3 or 4 years or 10 years. So that's why you put limits on it, that it has to stop it. And then if there's extenuating circumstances, then you send it in front of the BZA to like set the conditions for how this is gonna go. All right, any questions about that one?
B1, you'll want to change the inspector to the administrator again.
Oh, on that one? I know why, because Michelle wrote these and you didn't catch it before. Thank you. All right. I know it's a bit painful and a bit long. I'm tired of talking myself, but thank you for listening. That is 3 of the changes that are in the hopper for,
Of the 18.
yes, I think that's the number, but it's
18.
close to that, yes. And again, that number could go down if there's certain things that we don't get to within that grant period of time. All right, that's all I got. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Can I ask just a general question? The house on Clifton Road, just past Grinnell, the parcel that had an existing home was given a temporary, when they built a new home, and then the old existing home was supposed to be taken down. Was that done?
No, the original deal was they were going to have that house, the first house tore down. So you have the original house, they're building a new house, but part of the getting the permit for the new house was we're gonna tear that one down. And then as they were building, they came back to me, that's when I started then, and they wanted to turn that first home, the first dwelling, into an accessory structure or a barn that they could use because they have horses. And it was gonna be a storage. So we did that as a BZA case when I first started, and the BZA was like, we can't authorize that because it doesn't really make sense what it is that you're asking us to decide as far as the BZA. So they made a non-decision at that BZA meeting, and then I worked with them and honestly got a little bit smarter at how I do my job and issued a agricultural exemption. So you can have another building there as long as you're using it for agricultural purposes, and they had to sign and get it notarized that what they were using that structure for. And I gave them permission to use that, so they had an agricultural exemption to use that first primary dwelling as now an accessory structure.
Is that what it's being used for now?
Yes. Yes. I mean, I know people can lie to you, but I'm saying they had no intention of using that as a second residence. It was used to store stuff for their horse. The horses in their farm.
Just wondering.
Yeah, that's exactly where that one is, and unless there was some other complaint or we had reasons to feel like somebody was living in there, then we would readdress it. But we do have those in place now where they have to get them signed by and notarized
Is that right?
for agriculture exemptions, yeah.
Yep. That's it. Anything else from the zoning administrator? Any crickets? Item number 12, so committee reports and the RPC.
There was a meeting, I did not attend, and reviewing the minutes, nothing special to report.
Regional planning, I was unable to go to those meetings last month, sorry. Clifton Cemetery,
Nothing.
I saw an email come in that says there's an auditor wanting to communicate with, there's correspondence.
I saw that,
Okay,
yeah.
good, I just wanted to make sure that, it's passed along to Linda Parsons if that's, who needs to see
She's
it.
in active communication with them.
Got it, I just wanna make sure, thanks.
Wyasco Development Corporation.
Well, a couple of things. One is that our second representative, I represent the board there. Our second representative at large, Steve Weering, is going to be stepping down, and we're going to need a second representative, so. Putting that out there, if you have any ideas, someone to represent us. Also, what they've been doing, they had this place called Business First, who made teams with this nonprofit and this teams of our own, where every business person last Friday for 3 hours, they set up teams and visited all businesses that they could, and interviewed them and asked their needs and their resources and their plans, so that we could, give them the knowledge that somebody does care what their plans are, and what their needs are, and what the community can do to support them. So that's all I have for that.
Green County Township Association.
I didn't go to the dinner this time, did you?
I didn't
It was the same as candidates night.
Active Transportation Committee.
We're just continuing on the grants, and you might have seen there was a survey for people to rank the different trouble spots in town that we want to address in the next round of grant funding for improvements.
Item 12, there's nothing under new business.
We added something, didn't
Yellow Springs News insert.
we? Yes, thank you, it's my own. We have, first of all, I want to thank the, as much as I'm allowed to thank the Miami Township Fire and Rescue Association for their work on the levee, and two community members, Lori Eskelin and Kellyanne Tracy, who really stepped up and designed things and worked with them to get that out and schedule, what is it, coffee with the chief or whatever, meeting, 2 locations for meeting with the chief. So thank the community and the fire association for their work. However, Don has reserved the possibility for an insert in the list. But there's already, they are doing a mailing to the whole township. There's already an ad. But what we haven't put out, which we're not doing, they are doing a promotion of it. What we haven't put out is our facts. We have a really nice fact sheet that you guys developed.
Well,
And
he developed the chief.
He's pointing at you.
anyway.
It was a team effort.
As a team member. And the board, I don't talk too long. I would like permission to run that as an insert, if you've read the facts, as just the facts, like we're allowed to do. I'm gonna ask an attorney first, if make sure that, because we're not allowed to campaign in favor or against the state facts.
I don't think that's a campaign, that would be, it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
Putting, no different than a planning commission, or any other public notice that would go in the paper.
Okay, so,
Sort of like an annual report.
right. Okay. Let's do it. And so that I noticed in our appropriations, we have $2,000 appropriated for elections. So this should probably cost about $400, so it's
Well,
modest.
the insert's 200, that is the access to it being an insert plus the printed.
No.
405.
195
405.
for the printing and the insert process. Cool, okay.
Well, the insert process is 195, I said 200.
And the printing's about 200.
Oh, I thought you said 405.
It's 405 altogether.
So I would like to make a motion that the trustees run a fact sheet for the levy in the last issue of this month. Insert.
I second that.
There's a second, is there discussion regarding this motion? Hearing none, may we vote please?
It's been moved and seconded for the trustees to place a fact sheet insert in the Yellow Springs News on the fire department finances. Ms. Moyer,
Yes.
Mr. Hollister,
Yes.
Mr. Mutcher,
Yes.
motion's approved.
And just for a minute piece of clarification, that appropriation under the election line is for charges from the board of election to us when we have an election, like for the levy. It's not for us to use for any purpose.
Oh. They charge us for what?
Just stuff when we have an election, like our portion of setting up the election precinct,
Oh,
voting booths.
they bill.
That's if we have a special election, not an existing general election.
We have to pay a little portion for the generals also.
It's possible, but I don't
Okay,
think it's true.
No? Okay.
so then I'll take it out of contracting or something, or advertising, I'll take it out of advertising.
Any other new business? Old business? I'm not really adding this because I don't remember what we discussed or what we decided, if we decided anything in our last meeting about pursuing this new requirement from the auditor of state to have, whether we have to have,
Well,
concerning, and then we get these things from Otarma, and we get these things from Rebecca, and
it's confusing.
it's confusing.
So,
Tech advisors, are they involved with this at all? Or-
yes, well, I need to be educated. So, the HB 96, I probably just read the darn thing, or go to this workshop. What we reviewed last time was a specific piece of, a specific policy that was due September 30th and has been sent to Greene County to review for us, and it hasn't come back yet. And that was one small piece of something that apparently is really big over the year. And so when we contracted with tech advisors, they're saying, yes, that's what we do. We keep you compliant. We keep you ahead of the game. We give you several things. We, let you know. Now, this came from Rebecca, and it's a different model. And it's a cohort framework program. I've only read what you guys got, and we were all invited to go to the information session.
And it involves like 30 different meetings.
Yes, it involves, well, I think what they're trying to do, they're trying to say it's a nonprofit that provides at-cost cybersecurity and compliance services to organizations with high exposure but limited internal resources. So it lays out 44 weeks of meetings every 2 weeks, and you get educated on what this is all about. I'm only guessing from what I read this, and you could become more of a cohort of minds and similar organizations that are all looking at the same things and borrow and advise each other with, I guess, so in short, I'll go to the meeting and see what it's all about. Hopefully that will give me a better overview of what this whole bill is about, but will also help me to assess whether we're getting that from tech advisors. And it doesn't seem like we'd be a good candidate for this program because we don't have a tech person on the inside
Yeah,
that,
it
so,
doesn't. But I just want to make sure we're compliant with whatever all this new cybersecurity regulation is and requires us to do.
yeah, well, I hope to learn more here, and then, it's an information session, so I'll go get some information.
Is there a date on it? Is there a date on it?
October 30th.
Thank
At sometime, I've registered. And that's what Tech Advisors, what we contracted with them to keep us compliant, so I'm gonna, since they work with so many different small governments, including Xenia Township and the Village of Yellow Springs, I assume that they're all over it. But let me go to this and then talk to them and report back.
There isn't a timeline.
Have you shown it to me?
On these requirements, is there from the state or from the whoever?
I don't even know what all the requirements are. I'm sure we'll all learn.
Sure will. Anything else under old business?
Just what because I have worked in computer security, this is a thing. Just looking at HB 96 online, it's very involved.
Of course. Of
And
course.
it's a 44-week immersion program, actually. And I assume there's a fee associated with
Of
this.
course.
I mean, even though it's a nonprofit that is going to be providing the cohort framework program.
Okay. Any other old business? Hearing none, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn. Look at this, right at 7 o'clock.
It's amazing, we had one agenda item.
I move we adjourn.
A second.
Adjourned by acclamation. Thank you all for coming.